Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing this gold glitter glam for you, and we're just going to jump right in and get started. Starting off, I'm going to be taking my Maybelline Fit Me concealer and using that to just prime my eyes. Grabbing my Real Techniques blending sponge, I'm going to blend that into my eyelids just to get an even application so that I don't have any patchy or blotchy spots when putting on my eyeshadow. Then grabbing my Airspun translucent powder, I'm going to be taking that onto a fluffy brush and using that to set my lids just so it gives me a smooth base for my eyeshadow. I always do this step, otherwise I get patchy spots when blending my eyeshadow in. Grabbing that color from my Morphe 35O palette, I'm going to be taking that on a fluffy blending brush and using that as my transition color. And this look is going to be a cut crease look, so I'm going to be trying to keep that above my lid and not going too far down into the lid. Grabbing that next darkest shade there, I'm using that on the exact same brush, and again using that in my lid, and it's just kind of deepening up the crease a little bit more. When I do eyeshadow looks, I tend to do a lot of different colors just because it gives it that very nice gradient and it looks like it all just kind of melts together into one color, but you can still see the different colors. Grabbing that orange shade there, I'm using a slightly smaller blending brush and pulling it a little tighter into the crease. Every time I add a darker color, I pull it a little bit tighter into the crease. Again, it gives you this nice gradient effect on the eyes. And I'm really deepening out that inner socket. I really like the way that has been looking lately with my eyeshadow. Grabbing that light brown shade on that same brush, very same thing. And you'll just see me repeating this process as I go darker with the colors. I just pull it a little tighter into the crease and blend away. And I'm grabbing a bit of a flatter brush there just to really define that crease. Using my Maybelline Fit Me concealer again, I'm going to be using that to carve out my crease, and I'm using just a small concealer brush for that. And you have to be very careful with this part just because you want that really nice sharp line. So I'm just very carefully carving it out and taking my time. And then you just fill in the lid with concealer. And doing obviously the exact same thing to the other lid. Using that very lightest shade from my 35O palette, I'm going to be using that to set that concealer and use that as my lid color. And I'm patting it on instead of swiping it just because I feel like it allows for the most pigmentation as well as gives it a nice even application. And I'm being careful to not go over the line that I created, but I do go over with a blending brush and just kind of go over that line just to dust away any eyeshadow that may have gotten above the crease. Grabbing that brown shade again, I'm actually going to be popping it into my outer corner because I decided that I wanted it to be a half cut crease rather than a full cut crease. So I'm just grabbing any blending brush I have for that and Just blending away and doing the same to the other eye. Grabbing that next dark brown shade there, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, taking it onto a bit of a smaller brush and deepening out that outer corner. Using my NYX Pore Filler Primer, I'm going to be using that to fill in any problem areas I have on my skin, and that's usually just around my nose, on the apples of my cheeks, on my chin, and a little bit on my forehead as well, and between the brows. And I just smooth that all in, grabbing my Anastasia Beverly Hills Stick Foundation. I apply that all over the skin. This is not a full coverage foundation, so if you're looking for more of a full coverage foundation, I would not recommend this one. This one I feel is a light to medium coverage, but you can build it up a little bit. Using my Real Techniques buffing brush, I'm just blending all of that into my skin. I find that this is the best way to blend it in, because I find that a beauty blender doesn't quite move it, just spread it around just as well as I'd like it to be. And I do use a combination of stippling and swiping motion to kind of distribute the foundation evenly. Grabbing my Sephora Bright Future Concealer and taking that under my eyes to highlight and conceal my dark circles, and also using that to clean up the outer corner of my eyeshadow, as you can see here. Just gives me that nice sharp line that I want with eyeshadow. I also take that down the bridge of my nose, onto my forehead, and on my chin as well, just to balance out the highlight so it doesn't look like I have stark whiteness just under my eyes. And again, blending that in with my Real Techniques beauty sponge. Using my Besame translucent powder, I'm going to be using that to set my under eyes. I really like this powder just because it does really brighten my under eyes and makes me look wide awake. And I take that on a Morphe brush there. This is one of my favorite brushes to set my under eyes with. I'm also taking that up along the bridge of my nose and using that to set the center of my forehead as well, just to bring the brightness there as well as on my chin. Then I grab a big fluffy brush and dust away any of the excess powder that I may have gotten. Using my Bare Minerals bronzer trio, I'm grabbing that lightest bronzer shade there on a big fluffy brush and bronzing my skin. This is honestly one of my favorite bronzers, and it's a limited edition one. So it was so upsetting when I found that out that I wasn't going to be able to repurchase it. And taking it down along my chin too, and I'll pull it down a bit onto my neck just to kind of give a more cohesive look to my face and neck. Using my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, I'm grabbing the two lightest contour shades onto a small angled brush and using that to carve out my cheekbones, as well as a little bit on my forehead, and I take a little bit onto the sides of my nose just to lightly contour it. I grab a bit more of my Airspun translucent powder onto my Real Techniques sponge and use that to go under my contour just to sharpen it up and clean up any of the messiness that I may have done. And I lightly dust it away. Going into my under eyes, I'm just grabbing a combination of the lighter brown shades that I use for my crease and just blending it all into my under eye. Grabbing that darker shade there onto a smaller definer brush, I push that very close to my lash line just to really smoke out the bottom lash line. I'm using my Kat Von D felt tip liner in Trooper and using that to create a wing for myself. Now this part always takes me the longest just because I'm really concentrating and I get right up in the mirror. Grabbing my NYX glitter liner, I take that onto my under eye. I really like the way this looks just because it's a nice fun way to use glitter without it being, you know, too much. Grabbing my ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in Wisp, I'm grabbing that onto my Real Technique sponge and blending it onto my cheeks just to set a base for the highlight. Grabbing my Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit, and I'm going to be using Dripping in Gold. I'm going to be applying that to any high points of my face. I also take that onto my Cupid's bow, down the bridge of my nose, and a little bit above the forehead, or the eyebrows. I'm applying some lashes here. These are my favorites right now. They are the Cocoa Lashes in Queen Bee. And these were a new pair, so they were being a little difficult. Grabbing my LA Girl lip liner in Carabay. I'm using that to line my lips. This color is pretty similar to my lip color, so it's not super noticeable, but this is one of my favorite lip liners. Grabbing my ColourPop Ultra Matte Liquid Lipstick in Beeper. I'm going to use that and apply it to my lips. This is one of my favorite colors from the ColourPop liquid lipsticks. Then setting my face with some MAC Fix Plus, and that is the completed look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.